The additional settings are kind of interesting. The video default, we have an HTML5 player that I'll show you how to use. Do you have a default size you want your videos to appear in a light box? You fill it in there. If you do, if you don't, the video player will just default to the size of the video. The from email address, this is the default that we use. We found users with Bluehost as their hosting company required this email to be from Bluehost. So we gave users the option. If you find that you're not receiving in-game messages, it may be because your your hosting service requires that the email originate from a known location, such as their own email address. There's more details on that, and you can go to the Game On PLN on the Adobe Education Exchange for more information about that. Store receipts, do you or do you not when players buy something? And I've not shown you the store, but what good is accumulating loot if you can't spend it? Well, do you want, by default, do you want to receive receipts? I do. But some teachers, no, I don't want to see miles and miles, and you can turn them on or off individually by store item. That, yeah, this thing I want a receipt for, or this one, I don't care. Let them buy it, don't bother me. So again, ultimately customizable. Full student name. Do you want John S., or do you want John Smith? In some districts, they don't want information, they don't want last names being passed over the internet outside of their system. So that's what this, and it's off by default. We have no problem with full student names in our district, but it's off because some districts require teachers not to take any liberties whatsoever with last names. So last names will not be displayed or transmitted anywhere. You'll just get John S. Honor. Now this is a very interesting. The honor threshold and the damage threshold. If a student accumulates X amount of honor, what additional or reduction, bonus or subtraction, addition or subtraction of their loot will they get? So you can set a threshold for a buff, an extra boost in return. So with a 10% multiplier, if the loot was 100 gold, someone with 10 honor, according to this variable, if this were selected, would get 110 gold. So this is one of those game mechanics that encourages students to save their loot and not spend it in the store. And conversely, should you select the damage filter, and you can set this threshold to whatever you want. These are just default values. If students are, this is misbehavior. This is a penalizing, and in games, there is a penalty for doing things wrong, and you encounter damage and you need to repair damage, and that's available in the store. And I'll show that in the next video because it's going to cover a lot of this. But then conversely, without changing this, if they hit this threshold, they get 10% less loot. So instead of 100 gold, they would get 90. So with these two thresholds on, there would be a potential difference of 110 to 90, or if they hit 20, well, then they would get twice this because the threshold is a multiplier. This is a 1. So if they accumulate too much damage, well, their loot is nerfed wildly, and it is such a motivational tool to get kids to pay off their damage, to live righteously. It's fun to watch. And remember, none of it is tied to grades. It's just a fun game mechanic for delivering their curriculum. And, this may be a little too much to swallow at this point in time, and that's why they're off by default, so you don't mess with them. But once you understand a little bit more about games and game mechanics, you can tweak this and really set up some interesting choices for kids, how they're going to use their loot. And put some enticing things in the store that, oh, do I spend it? Do I put off short-term, rewards for long-term gratification? I don't know. You just figure it out for yourself. And the data reset, we have all of our data here that you can reset individually or all at once. And, oh, I didn't want it. Well, yeah, we know this is important. You don't want to do this unless you're absolutely certain, because you're going to erase all the data that's been collected on all of these variables. Okay, so there you go. I didn't explain the modifier all that well, but you get the basic idea. We'll follow this up with more intense videos. And by the way, each one of these, click, is a video that explains each one individually. But if I tried to upload all that, there's literally 140 videos, and I have to re-record every single one of them because the game has come so far since I recorded these videos, including new features that I haven't recorded a video for. So lots of in-game help, lots of modifications. We got the store coming up next, and I'm going to call it a day. Are you thinking about doing this? This will re-energize your classroom, your teaching practice. And the biggest complaint we get from educators is, I can't make enough quests to stay ahead of some of the kids. Isn't that a great problem to have? Kids who want to learn, who can't wait to get at the next challenge. Oh my.